Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast, as part of the series, the Convolute FlashBack. This is an audio podcast as part of the RainZtorm Squal. This is an audio podcast as part of the MHC Bostics, an audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. In this overview, or in this audio podcast, there'll be an overview in around the background to this works to works in around sort of collaborative works, and 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 so to give an idea as part of as part of this as part of the background to this works. um, Retrospectively, there's been varying advances in around in around the sort of treatment in around varying treatment modalities for those suffering with varying forms of kidney disease, and before sort of the treatment modalities, or as part of the treatment modalities, there are various forms of sort of uh, various forms of, to various forms or sort of sort of sort of mechanisms, if you like, that that that's sort of specialists tend to have to investigate, or at least to sort of research to understand which sort of treat in line with sort of the treatment modality, but also in line with where different forms or varying forms of treatment modality it or require varying forms of access, so that those suffering with varying forms of kidney disease can receive a varying can receive the appropriate treatment to ensure, for example, waste produce, for example, within general physiology, can be can be can be excreted, wherein, for example, normal renal function, or where there's renal insufficiency, where varying forms of treatment modalities with appropriate access or treatment appropriate access for treatment to take place can be can be can be can be can be utilized, but also can ensure appropriate clearance of varying waste produce toxins waste produce and toxins from the blood, and from general in around general physiology. So, retrospectively, in the past decade, if not more, uh, uh, in the past decade, if not more, the use of tech, but also in context of surgical procedures, as far as surgical procedures are required for particular forms of treatment modalities to be used, or to ensure to ensure recipients can rid of toxins and waste from the blood and from physiology. Varying advances have changed, have allowed and have allowed and advanced, and also have 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 in healthcare changed dramatically. The use of the use of at the same time the use of social media, the use of social media is often used or has been used to support for people with a long-standing conditions. Uh, in around CKD or chronic kidney disease as a long-standing illness or condition is a lot. People have severe or end-stage kidney disease or renal disease tend to require varying treatment modalities. And at the same time, the treatment modalities can include hemodialysis, for example, hemodialysis, and can include hemodialysis and or for example peritoneal dialysis or peritoneal dialysis. Now, at primitive, at the primitive basis, primitive level, at the primitive basis, primitive level, hemodialysis is where there's where an individual where a patient or recipient or an individual is is has is sorry is appropriately has treatment is having treatment appropriately to rid of toxins from toxins and blood toxins from the blood and waste from the blood through through what is referred to as a what is required what is referred to as a vascular access, and vascular access in this on this basis is in regard to is in regard to where a recipient has a patient or a recipient has a surgical procedure called a fistula. And a fistula at primitive level is an anastomosis, an adjoining of an artery and a vein, and to increase blood flow to a particular part of to a particular part of the to a particular part of the access of treatment access in order to ensure treatment, the treatment modality in treatment modalities. So again, for example, hemodialysis is generally viable. So as part of this sort of collaborative works, the renal patient support group, the RPSG, retrospectively has has sought to support people who are on very informed who are on hemodialysis, and at the time when this works was originally done back in 2014, this works at the time the RPSG had over 3,000 virtual members, 3,000 virtual members, 3,000 virtual members globally. And this study was sort of contemporary in that it utilized social media, and to at the same time to recruit and to involve sort of patients and carers in order to support particular particular aspects of data collection, and at the same time, the RPSG had provided had provided a sort of had provided at the time around when this work was done, or this work was carried out, sort of varying ways to raise raise awareness in around the importance around vascular access care, and to sort of collect data in around particular aspects that for example, where patients or recipients and carers have challenges in around aspects of around vascular access. At the time, this was one of the first investigations carried in around and through the RPSG, in around the RPSG, social media platform, and there are works in around this as part of this background. There is varying literature. There's varying literature in around the varying modalities in around kidney care, but also in around the varying forms of modalities in around treatments, where patients and carers, for example, can get further information. However, this works was where one of the lead researchers at the time had wanted to see a sense of more awareness on the importance of vascular access awareness, but also around vascular access care. So in the next audio podcast, as part of this Convolute flashback, there will be a basis in around some of the aims and objectives of this works. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This has been an audio podcast as part of the Convolute flashback, an audio podcast as part of the RainZtorm Squal. This has been an audio podcast as part of the MHC Bostics. This has been an audio podcast in around a Storm Robotics production.